Hey guys, and welcome to Double Sleeve's very first One Piece deck preview hosted on this channel. Um, I want to thank everyone that's been with us from the very beginning, from Dragon Ball days, and for everyone that's kind of supported us so far in the One Piece community as well. We've seen some great growth already on the channel, and we can tell that people want to see some more One Piece content. So here we are. We're starting it off fresh, and what better way to start some One Piece content with, I guess, the most popular leader that has seen play. I would say the most play since the card game was announced here in Australia. I'd probably assume America as well. This is the multicolor Luffy leader that is in every demo deck. Um, we handed out at least I would say close to a couple hundred at PAX Oz this year. It's going to be included in the set one Romance Dawn in the next month as well, and I think it has some ground to kind of start itself as a contender for opening up this obviously fresh, brand new slate of meta. Um, so again, before we get into it, guys, thank you so much for tuning in today. Thank you so much if you've already supported the channel before with your subscription and your comments. If you haven't, please consider subscribing and giving this video a thumbs up. It allows us to know that you want content like this, and it also allows us to grow as a channel. So thank you so much, guys. And without further ado, let's jump into this video. The multicolor Luffy leader. His activate main for 4 Don. You can set up to one of your Supernovas or Straw Hat type characters cards with a cost of 5 or less as active. It gains 1000 power during this turn. So we're going to see obviously the deck play around a lot of Supernova. It is red and green multicolor. So we are going to see some slight variations, of course. We are only on set 1 and a few starter decks. So you might not see very different decks come out from people. On top of that as well, I'm trying not to add in promos where it's not needed, so then that way people can see what the deck will look like on day one release. Promos have been out for quite some time. I know sometimes they're a bit hard to I guess obtain. So I want to try and keep this as simple as possible for everyone out there. But sometimes, unfortunately, some promos do make the decks itself, so I can't really help those sides there. Moving forward, we're going to run 4 Nami here. On play, she gets to look at the top 5 for a Straw Hat crew other than herself and add it to your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of the deck. For those that are aware of the One Piece game or those that aren't aware of the One Piece game, drawing cards is very minimal these days, so you don't get to really see it too much. So being able to do this on turn 1 on play, amazing. 4 of Otama. She has 0 power. She is a 1 cost card, but you can give up to one of your opponent's characters minus 2000 power during this turn. Minusing power doesn't KO even if they go to 0, but it does work well with other cards that get to KO cards with a certain power level or less. She's a 4 of. She also is a counter for 2000 as well, so it's a great card to have in hand. But she also does help out with some of the other cards that we might see in this deck, or we might see in other decks that we provide as well. 4 Chopper, very straightforward. You see a 1 cost, you see it has blocker, you put it in the deck as a 4 of. Every color is going to have it. Red has it. I think the only color that doesn't have it is purple, but we will get to those decks later down the track on our channel. 3 of this Nami as well. Obviously, she can't grab herself from the previous Nami, but this Nami is pretty powerful. She gets to activate main once per turn. You can give your leader or one of your characters 1 rested Don cards. So pretty much like she plays for 1. You can then give the rested Don to the leader if you wanted to, and your leader swinging for 6k. I think it's amazing. I think if your opponent doesn't get rid of her and she gets a couple of turns of value out, it's fantastic. She also doesn't need to rest herself to do this ability as well, so she can stay on the board for quite some time. Moving on now, we've got 3 Sanji. His activate main, you can add 1 card from your life to your hand. He gets 2000 power during this turn. Then you give this character up to 2 rested Don cards. So he can become a 7k swing, which isn't too bad. I put him as 3 because I like the counter side of him. He does have a 2000 counter ability as well. So I think that that's very important to have cards that balance out both styles of play. He's not going to be a dead card in any type of way, shape, or form. Um, but he's not too bad if you want to go for game with a 7k and he's sitting on the board and your opponent hasn't dealt with him either. I definitely agree if you've got life to take. But we're obviously on 4 life already, so it's probably not ideal in this deck. I would probably use it just for the counter. For Nico Robin, she's probably going to be seen in a lot of red decks. She is quite good. She costs 3. She has a 4k power. 1 Don underneath. When she attacks, you can KO up to one of your opponent's characters with 3,000 power or less. She works hand in hand with Otama. You neg something 2,000 power when you play Otama, and then when Nico Robin swings, you KO something with 3,000 or less. This KOs 5k power cards without fail. I think it's quite a strong combo. That's why both of them are at 4. You obviously play the Otama on the turn after you play Nico Robin. But yeah, it's quite strong. I put 2 Zoros in the deck as well. Being a 3 cost for specific reasons that other cards can play 3 costs from your hand. He also has Rush, and he's a 5k. So you can pretty much swing at leader for damage as soon as he's played. I reckon it's pretty good. He's the SR from Romance Dawn. I put him at 2 for now. Could see him being taken out or upgraded depending on how your playstyle is, but that's where I would sit him at the moment. We're running 2 Brooks as well. He costs 4. He's a 5k. He does have a Don 1 when it's attached on your turn. When he attacks, give up to 2 of your opponent's characters minus 2,000 power during this turn. Pretty good against those high-end like 7k blockers. That'll bring him down to 5. And Brook will be a 6 because you've attached a Don underneath him as well. So really decent card. I do run him at 2. He is very, very situational, so I wouldn't really see him being ran any higher than that. We're going to look at Luffy, another SR from the starter deck this time. I do run him at 2. He's quite popular. I think he's quite good. He is a 5 cost, 6,000 power. He does have Rush, which means he can attack on the turn he is played. And if you put 2 Don underneath him, when he's attacking, your opponent can't activate Blocker for this battle. So against this card, your opponent can't activate Blocker card. So it's kind of like a great Hail Mary, I guess, at the very end. If they've got no life and they've got blockers and they feel pretty confident, you can just drop the Monkey D. Luffy, attach 2 Don onto him, swing for 8k, and good luck at the end of the day. I think it's a very good card in red decks in general. Obviously, if your opponent knows the red deck well, they will probably try to play against it, but nonetheless, still a very good card. We're going to move on to green now. Jewelry Bonnie and Capone Beige, both 1 cost, both amazing, both 4 obs. Bonnie plays for 1, then you activate her ability by tapping 1 Don, resting herself, and then you get to look at the top 5 cards, reveal a Supernova type card, and add it to your hand. Almost the whole deck is Supernova. Has, I wouldn't say all deck actually now that I think about it, but we do have quite a bit of Supernovas. You can grab Zoro, you can grab Luffy, you can grab another Jewelry Bonnie, you can grab Beige, Law, Kid. There's options. Half the deck is probably roughly about Supernova. And then we're looking at Capone again. Beige, 1 cost blocker, another 4 of them. You've got 8 in this deck. Quite a defensive powerhouse, honestly, unless you're playing against Luffy. Trafalgar Law, he is the SR from set 1 as well for green, or 1 of the SRs for green. He has blocker. He is a 5 cost for 6k. And on play, you may return 1 of your characters to your hand. Play 1 character with a cost of 3 or less from your hand. He works fantastic with pretty much any low cost, like Otama, if you don't need her anymore. If you've played Sanji and you've already attacked with it, even Nami is perfect example. Once you've kind of done the top 5 look, you'll play Law. On play, you can actually use it to play the Zoro SR, and then Zoro can swing with Rush. So you literally get a blocker, you get a Rush 5k swing, and then you'll return, let's say, the 1 cost Nami back to your hand, and then you can play her again to look at the top 5. It really depends on how you sequence this type of play. Law is kind of known to, you have to kind of be pinpoint precision on how you want to activate it, but you'll get so much value out of just playing this 1 SR Law. That's why I've got him at 4. The 8 cost Eustace Captain Kidd, SR from set 1 as well, the other SR from Green. I put him in here as a 2 because I think he's great defensively. His If you put one Don underneath him on your opponent's turn, if that character is rested, your opponent cannot attack anything other than character's name used as Captain Kid. That's not your leader. That's not any other card. Cards have to swing into this SR. And while he's rested, he's got 8,000 power, and it's going to be very, very hard to get a swing in. His activate main, once per turn, you may rest this character, play one character card with a cost of 3 or less from your hand. Personally, I don't see that ability being very, very useful unless it's the turn you've played him. You'd rather swing for 8k at one of your opponent's characters or your opponent's leader because it's very hard to get out of 8k swings. But he also plays a Zorro. So not only can you get like an 8k body on the board, put a Don under him, play the Zorro for free, and then your opponent can't swing with anything except if they're swinging at the Kid SR. I think is phenomenal. Last 2 cards that I'm going to go into, these are just the event cards itself. So I've got 4 Radical Beam, amazing card. It costs 1. Your leader or up to one of your characters gains 2,000 power during this battle. Then if you have 2 or less life cards, that character gains, or that card gains an additional 2,000 power. So a possible +4. We're already starting at 4 life anyway, so you're probably going to be at that range very quickly. The trigger is also really nice. Your leader or up to one of your characters gains 1,000 power for the whole turn. So really, really good if you find it in life. Really, really good if you've got it in hand. And then the last card that I want to touch on is the Jet Pistol. I've got it as a 4 of as well. It does cost 4. You'll see why. Activate main, you can KO one of your opponent's characters with a power of 6,000 or less. And then the trigger activates its card's main effect as well. So you want to see it in your life. You probably want to see it in your hand. I don't think you don't mind which spot you see it in. Obviously, it's always nice to hit it in life if your opponent has something that you can KO. But that is pretty much the beginning of our deck previews, guys. Thought we'd kick it off with the multicolor Luffy. It seems to be the most known, the most available, I would definitely also say, at this moment. But guys, thank you so much for tuning in to our first One Piece deck preview video today. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments below what changes you would make if you think that you're going to run this going forward as well. And where you kind of think that this deck's going to sit once all the decks are released and you start seeing events come into play. And yeah, guys, if you did enjoy the content today, please consider giving a thumbs up on this video. And also subscribing to the channel because it does help us out a lot and it lets us know that you want to see more content like this. Thank you guys again. Hope to see you in future videos and take care.